you have the universe is closed, it is one unary entity. That's your primary quantum. Okay? But now everything, it's got to be self-composed because there's nothing external of which it can be composed. It has to use itself as its as its secondary and tertiary components. So it has to map itself internally by descriptive endomorphism or de-endomorphism to tertiary syntactors, and then those tertiary syntactors can agglomerate, can come together in organisms, which then nucleate secondary quanta or telors, which are necessary to complete causation. Because ordinary quantum particles don't have what it takes to actually decide on events and emerge in events. That takes telesis. You've got to have this other kind of quantum of causation, this secondary quantum of causation called telesis, and that means that telesis is bound. That's the monic substrate of the universe. It must be bound by these things called telors. We are telors. We actually bind telesis in this way so that causation can be completed, so that events can actually occur. All of this nonsense about, well, quantum randomness and quantum indeterminacy, if something is totally random and indeterministic, there is no reason for it to occur, and it won't occur. All right? It's not just the principle of insufficient reason that I'm talking about here. I'm talking about something has to be distinguished from its logical complement, right? And that, basically, that act of distinction, it takes a certain amount of information to complete that. So we are the ones who provide that information, either directly or indirectly. Well, basically, we're quantifying it. We're logically binding it using something analogous to quantifiers in predicate logic, so that events occur. In other words, we're binding it into events. We're taking something that is basically conspansive, that is self-potentializing. It consists of potentials and actualities, and actually giving those potentials and actualities something to connect them. And we're actually selecting many possible futures, or from many possible futures, which is a potential. We're then selecting specific events that combine, that are related in telons, which are these quanta of causation that I'm talking about, secondary quanta. You're locked into terminal consciousness. You have a form of consciousness that is appropriate to life in the terminal domain. Okay, what I'm talking about, telic recursion, occurs in the non-terminal domain. It involves a different form of consciousness. And in the conspansive manifold, it's its own memory. It consists of layer upon layer upon layer of events that never disappear and never go away. They're right there. Nothing, you don't even have to reach into storage and pull this information out. It's right there. All right? And that's one of the advantages of having a manifold structured in the way that CTMU is structured. Everything is right there as it is needed. And of course, telons are adaptive. Okay, telic recursion is adaptive. When things happen that are not necessarily in accord with a certain telon, the telon adapts to the new set of resources at its disposal and comes together again, approaching the same final outcome. I didn't equate evil to incoherence. I said evil is incoherent. Okay, basically it's incoherent because evil is anti-existence. All right, basically it hates existence and it wants to go out of existence, right? But when you take a bunch of evil and it won't recognize its own existence and it won't recognize the existence of anything else, it's very hard to coordinate. It can't be coordinated, so it becomes incoherent. The only way that evil actually achieves any sort of reality is it uses physical systems to do it. It nucleates physical systems and uses their structure, their power structures, their hierarchies in order to be realized. But it has no coherence of its own. It's anti-coherent.